Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host, Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Claire from the Connecticut Forest and Park Association. Welcome.
Thank you, Pete.
How are you?
Happy to be here.
Well,
I'm very good.
So Claire, tell us a little bit about yourself. What exactly do you do as a steward for CFPA?
Sure. So I'm the organization's Trail Stewardship Director, and that means a whole wide range of things. We have about 825 miles that we have maintenance and management responsibility for. So I oversee those efforts. And we have hundreds of volunteers that we work with and we coordinate with, partners, landowners who we work in partnership with. And it's all about, exposing people to this trail system and getting them out there and hoping they have a good experience and making this trail system more sustainable for the future.
And how long have you been with CFPA?
About 10 years.
You like it?
I do.
Actually,
I like it very much.
Actually, a really cool thing is Claire's a new face to the Pete Mezzetti Show. Normally, when we do this, we usually have somebody else on with us.
That's right.
Yeah. We decided, nah.
Yeah, done with him.
Nah.
Yeah,
we don't need him. We can throw together a half hour very nicely about this.
That's right.
So, tell us a little bit about CFPA and exactly what you guys do.
Sure. So our organization, we're actually having our 125th anniversary this year. We've been around for a long time, very much part of the conservation movement in Connecticut. We've been involved with advocacy since our inception. The Trails program came along a little bit later, about 1929. We started our first hiking trail and the system has bloomed from there. We do conservation work, we're a land trust, and we do a lot of environmental education. So kind of have a broad range of things that we do, and under that umbrella there's a lot of different programming and outreach that we do to the folks around Connecticut.
Let's talk a little bit about the programming that you guys do. Tell us a little bit about it and maybe get into some details.
Sure. So one of our big programs we have coming up is Connecticut Trails Day.
That's right.
Yes, it's a huge celebration the first weekend in June. This year it's June 6th and 7th.
Okay.
And we have over 250 events around the state, which is incredible. We have the most of any other state in the country. So we have 250 events right here in Connecticut, all celebrating different trails and different trail experiences. So there are events on hiking trails, biking trails, water trails. There are events for the beginner, for someone who is very experienced. It's really kind of the whole range. So what we're doing right now is encouraging people to sign up to lead an event and introduce people in their community to a place that's special to them. And that first weekend in June, everybody's outdoors, ready to enjoy the trails and open spaces around Connecticut, and Trails Day is a great way to do it. So we're able to kind of get the word out through, we have this pretty nifty booklet we put together that we distribute all around the state. We also have an interactive map and site where people can go and see all the events and sign up and get more information. But it really is this program that is really unique in Connecticut, and it's just focused on trails and getting people outside. So, so that's one of our probably most well-known programs. And then we have all kinds of other things going on. For example, we have a trails workshop coming up. And that's where, we introduce people to some of the basics of trail building and how to lay out a new trail, or how to build a maintenance program, or how to make signs. Or we kind of cover all these different topics because it's still the winter, it's indoors. And then in the spring we get out and we have our workshops outside and we do trainings and work parties to really get people out on the ground using a tool, seeing what it's like to do this kind of stewardship work.
Now as far as training goes, what exactly is involved?
So we do everything from learning how to use the hand tools safely. Safety first. But we do everything from how to cut back the corridor so that people can walk up and down these trails without getting hit in the face with things. How to have kind of a standard approach, so no matter what Blue Blaze hiking trail you're on, you're seeing some of the same kind of maintenance. So everybody's painting the blazes at the same height, the trail blazes that mark the trail. Or we're laying out trails in sustainable and lasting ways. And we're doing that consistently all across our system. So with our volunteer base, over 100 volunteers, maintainers doing this work, we want to provide them training so they know what they're doing out in the field, and that we do have that consistency all across our system.
Now, as far as, obviously, when you're out there hiking, the trails are marked pretty well, so in case
very well, Pete. I would say they're marked very well.
In case you get lost, which you probably don't want to do.
No, nobody gets lost on our
No?
trails. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yes.
You're telling me people have never gotten lost.
I'm lying.
Okay.
People get lost all the time.
Now, if people get lost, how do they find their way back?
So the best thing that someone can do is, if they find that they are disoriented and they've lost the trail, is to backtrack.
Yeah.
But
keep your phone with you.
Keep your phone with you. We're fortunate in Connecticut. We all have this GPS right in our pocket. And so that's a great way to see where you are in relation to the trail and what's out in the world around you. And you can make a phone call, and you can always call for emergency assistance if you need it. But I can say with a lot of confidence, our trails are very well marked.
Oh, cool.
And thankfully, that's not a major problem.
No,
that we
definitely
have.
definitely
Yeah.
not. Definitely.
I will say we have some great tools that people can use so they don't get lost.
Excellent. What are they?
Well, one of them is our Connecticut Walkbook, which has some great color maps of all of our trails, mileage tables, so you can plan out your hike before you go.
Really?
We encourage people to, let someone know before they take off on a solo adventure. But also, we've developed an interactive trails map. So folks can plan ahead of time, they can see where the trails are, and we're introducing a new feature where they'll be able to turn on their GPS locator in the field and see where they are on that trail system. So they will know immediately where they are and how far they are from the nearest trailhead if they get turned around. So we're trying to kind of give people some hard maps that they can use in their planning, but also some new technology, because we know everybody has their phone in their pocket.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do you get one of the books?
So you can buy one of these books on Amazon.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way, or you can come into our office in Middlefield. We sell them there also.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what else do we want to tell people about CFPA and exactly what you guys do?
So we do a lot of really incredible conservation programs.
Okay.
So on our properties, for example, we do a lot of forest management, and we often have walks with a forester where you can come out and learn about the science of the forestry work that we're doing on our properties, the kind of management that is sustainable on those properties. Most of them have hiking trails on them also that we maintain. So those have been really popular programs. We'll be having a hike series coming up this year, and those are guided hikes. Folks can come out, they're of varying lengths, and really see the whole diversity of our trail system. We'll have hikes all over the state all that highlight all different kinds of features. So that's a great way to come out and try out a new section of trail. We are the steward of the New England Trail, which is a national scenic trail, one of only 11 in the country, and it travels up and down through the center of the state and then on up to New Hampshire through Massachusetts. And we have a cool program going on. It's actually, we're going into our third year of a hike challenge. Okay. And we encourage people to get out and, kind of set some self-guided kind of milestones for themselves, so they can go out and have, an opportunity to see different parts of the trail and work their way towards these different patches we have for a Hike 50 challenge and a Hike 100 challenge. And people are really responding and signing up for these challenges because it's an opportunity to kind of push yourself and maybe see some different sections of trail that you've never seen before, or see a trail that's right maybe in your backyard that you've never had a chance to experience. Now have they started registering for the hike challenge yet? Yes, already. Yes, we have signups for 2020. We have folks who started last year who are going to continue into this year. So that's been a really popular program. And where can they go to sign up? So they can go to our website at ctwoodlands.org, or they can go to newenglandtrail.org. Now, as far as for like hiking and trail wise, is there a
what would you suggest for like a beginner, as far as if somebody is his first time for Connecticut Trails Day and they're not that they're a beginner and they want to they want to go hang out in the woods and discover nature?
So I would recommend finding an event through Trails Day, because those are all guided. You can show up without having had any experience. What's nice about the listing that we put together is we call out if an event is family friendly. We have the mileage there, so it might be just a very short hike if you're really going out for the first time, you don't know what you're getting into. Maybe you want to try a shorter hike led by someone who is knowledgeable about the place where the hike is, but is also, the leader for the day. So you don't have to worry about, did I bring all the right stuff? Am I going to get lost? You can go out and experience this place for the first time in kind of a safe environment. And hopefully people will have a good time, kind of gain some confidence, and explore a little further afield. So, I think Trails Day is a good entry point for folks who might be a little bit nervous about going out for the first time and not know what trail is right for them.
Exactly. Now, obviously, the trails get a little bit more harder the more advanced you are, you might say?
That's sure, yeah. You might go further distance. You might, hiking up to some of the Trap Rock Ridges is a little more rugged. But there are certainly plenty of trails, particularly here along the coastline, that are not that challenging. But you can still have the same experience of feeling like you're away from the developed world. It's quieter, it's peaceful. You can have that connection with nature in a really special way.
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Yeah, I would love to.
We'll be right back.
Get it. Get it.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it.
Get it. Get it.
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate, because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Claire from the Connecticut Forest and Park Association. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And look who showed up.
Oh my goodness.
I wonder how it happened. Our friend. Hi, buddy.
Great to see you.
Good to see you. And who are you?
I'm Eric Hammerling. I'm the Executive Director with the Connecticut Forest and Park Association. I have the pleasure of working with Clair Cain.
Oh, nice. And you and I have never met before.
Never before.
How are you, pal? Good to see you again.
Pleasure.
Good to see you again. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about what's going on as far as, I know Claire and I talked about Trails Day and all that other fun stuff. Tell us about, as far as being Executive Director for CFPA, exactly what you do.
Oh, see, I get asked all the time, as Executive Director of CFPA, you must go outdoors all the time, spend time on the trails, you must be having fun with legislators and doing things up at the Capitol. You must be having a great time with educational programs and all the things that CFPA offers that way. But I have to admit, my job is not as fun as Claire's job and many of my colleagues who get to do those things. As the Executive Director, much of what I do is trying to be a spokesperson for the organization, and also work with our board of directors, amazing volunteers who really care about the organization, work with a great staff, and I also have to try to help raise money for the organization, because we've got a fantastic staff of 10 who we want to keep going for many, many more years. It's been 125 years.
That's right.
We've got many more years yet to go.
Nice. And as far as with the Connecticut State Legislative Session coming up in February. What do you expect to see, or what are you expecting from the legislature?
Well, as you know, it's a short session of the legislature
Yes.
because it's an election year.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that are going to come up really quickly this year. We're hoping that there will be some bond package that will eventually pass. That will include funding for the recreational greenways and trails and greenways program for the state, which right now has given out over $10 million of grants over the last few years, but it's out of funding, and they need to be recharged with some support.
Cool.
And there are a number of other things related to trails that we're going to be spending some time on. For example, we would love to see an incentive for private landowners to really encourage them if they have a trail on their property, and we love our landowner hosts of trails who are already so giving, but we want to incentivize them to actually be able to put that trail there forever.
Right.
So figure out a way that perhaps some tax incentives, perhaps some funding to really reward landowners for being such amazing hosts of the trail.
Pete, can I just add to
Go
that?
for it, yeah.
Something I think maybe folks don't realize is Connecticut is so unique in that our trail system crosses so much private property.
Right.
And we have hundreds of private landowners who host sections of trail, and that's really something that's unique to Connecticut. Most other states, you're on federal land or just town property, but these landowners are really volunteers who are allowing these trails to, have their continuity, and this incentive would be huge.
Now, Eric, tell us a little bit about climate change.
Sure. Well, climate change is happening, and we're all trying to figure out what to do. And fortunately, there has been something for the last few years called the Governor's Council on Climate Change, which Governor Malloy started up, and Governor Lamont has recharged recently. And one of the things that we're excited about is the Governor's Council on Climate Change isn't only going to focus its efforts on energy and buildings and cars and transportation. It's actually starting to look at working lands and natural lands as a way to mitigate for climate change. Many people know that trees, forests are really important in terms of sequestering or absorbing carbon out of the atmosphere, and as I've heard some scientists talk about it in the most simple terms, if you have carbon that's in trees, that's carbon that's not in the atmosphere. So you really want to try to, and it's not just trees, there are things that we can do with our farms, with how we manage our lands, that can really make a difference for climate. And of course, on the shoreline here, you have to be thinking about climate change, because one of the biggest things that's going to happen is sea level rise. And Connecticut is actually expecting to have sea level rise at greater levels than most other areas of the country, in fact, of the world. So we may see 2 or more feet of sea level rise in Connecticut over the next 25 years, unless we do some things now that can really make a difference. So that's what we're focusing on, is what can we do with forests, natural and working lands, to make a difference now.
Exactly. Do you have something you'd like to add, Claire?
No, just that my house will be underwater by this prediction.
Oh no! Oh no!
So,
that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Well, and that's why it's so urgent.
It's so important.
Exactly.
And I think one of the things about climate change, because it is such a big issue, is it can be overwhelming. And there actually have been studies on people just shutting down when they're faced with an overwhelming challenge. So we're really trying to say there are some things that people can do, and that's where we want to focus our attention. What can we do to make a difference now, so that in the future it's not going to be as bad as it could potentially get if you look at some of the current forecasts. So I think Connecticut is really dedicated to doing something about climate change, and that's also the good news. So I think there are a lot of folks who are going to work with us to make that change.
Nice. Now, from doing research for this evening's show, I see CFPA is celebrating their 125th anniversary this year in 2020.
Oh, yes.
Any big plans?
Now, you are asking a question that we get asked a lot, and we actually ask ourselves, what are we going to do special this year? We're doing so much already.
Let's have a party.
So there will be, I've been assured, some special party hats and some special t-shirts and things like that. But really, rather than having just one event that's about the 125th anniversary, we're going to be in all of our events this year, and there will be many different types of events talking about some of the important landmarks historically that CFPA has been a part of, and even more importantly, the things that we hope will be a part of going forward. So it's not just one party, it's a year-long party, and we're looking forward to it.
It's a continuous party.
Continuous party.
That's okay.
And here we go.
We like continuous parties.
Right.
For sure,
right.
for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what else we want to educate everybody about?
Well, I guess I would encourage people, if they're interested in CFPA and want to get involved as a volunteer, as a supporter, they should go to our website, which Claire mentioned before, ctwoodlands.org. There's a lot of information there. You'll really get a quick insight into the many things that we do. And I think if someone's interested in the outdoors in Connecticut and they go and see the things that we're working on, they're going to want to get involved.
Now, what types of information can people find on the CFPA website?
Well, one of the things that Claire mentioned that is probably the most visited part of the site is this interactive Blue Blaze hiking trail map. And we're actually in the process right now, and probably by the time someone comes to it, they'll see the newest version of that,
That's
Claire?
right.
Interactive trails map, which not only shows all of the trails and how you can get to the trails, but you can actually see a dot for where you are in the world on a trail.
Oh, cool.
So, of course, you could use it if you're even not on a trail. You can see where you are, but we're hoping people will use it as a navigational tool as they're out walking on trails. And also on the website, we'll have information and updates throughout the legislative session. There will be many different issues that will come up quickly. And if people are interested in rallying to the cause, contacting legislators and trying to make a difference, that will all be on the website. And then there's a story about this guy who's been an amazing kind of new volunteer for CFPA.
Have I heard about him?
Pete something. I can't fully...
Smith.
Pete, yes. Oh, right, the guy from the Pete Mezzetti show? I still can't remember his name.
I've never heard of him.
It's really, that's one of the places where we feature some of our great
I've never read
volunteers.
the story either.
You live the story.
I was going to say, I think you and I wrote the story last time we were together.
Right. So if you want to see a great picture of Pete Mezzetti doing his thing and kind of learn about many volunteers who do great work, that's a perfect place to
Actually, you know what else we got to talk about?
What?
Fundraisers.
Oh, yeah.
We got a fundraiser coming up, don't we?
Well, I've heard that most people do like food and like to eat, and it's always nice when you can eat food, really good food, and raise money for a good cause.
Right.
So, again, this guy, Pete Mezzetti, has been helping us out, suggesting to some local restaurants in your area certain nights, certain days where a portion of the proceeds from people who are coming to eat great food will help support CFPA and the many things that we work on. So I know that there's one coming up March 9th. At Flanders Fish.
Correct.
Which I'm very excited about.
I am too.
Because I know what a great place it is. But I have to admit, I haven't eaten there yet. So what better excuse than...
I haven't been there in a while.
So March 9th, I know where I will be.
Me too.
And then a few other places that you've suggested, Pete. So we're very excited about that too.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the media advisory right now. And it is Monday, March 9th, and it's all day.
Oh, good. All day.
It's all day. It's dine in, take out. And
multiple meals then.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's
we could
yeah,
just
so
kind of
it's-
camp
We
out.
have fish, 3 meals.
Why not?
Yeah,
That's healthy.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's healthy, yeah.
dine in, take out.
All right.
And all you have to do is let them know you're there to support CFPA, and they'll donate a portion of the proceeds from each check back to CFPA.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool event. I've done events like this with other organizations, and it's actually a really cool event. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a couple others in the works for the springtime as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to check the CFPA website, and we'll keep you updated that way.
Fishtails and trails.
Right.
Is something that I'm very excited about.
Okay.
And we were talking before about
Yes.
ales and trails, or brews and views, however you think about those things. We're really
Ales and trails works for me.
yeah, ales and trails.
As long as you can take the ale on the trail and not get lost.
You know, quite honestly, we usually say the safest way to do it is trails then ales.
That's right.
But it's up to everyone to do it their own way.
Eric and Claire from CFPA, we're about to run out of time, so I want to thank you for coming down.
Thank you, Pete.
We'll see you soon.
A pleasure. Thanks again.
No problem. On behalf of Eric and Claire, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night. We'll see you next time.